Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Of course, in this week, we talk about the risk associated with practicing healthcare, so being a healthcare provider. And many of you know that you have to go through, a variety of different education to be in a certain skill set for healthcare delivery. So medical doctors, of course, go through their schooling, which is usually consistent of on 4 years, and then they have a residency after that. And it can be up to another 4 to 6 years to get through a residency. And the training is extensive. However, even after that training, there are legal risks to practicing medicine. Part of that, can be encompassed by just delivering health care to those in need. So people make mistakes, and I think we should all be aware of that. However, protecting yourself in that circumstance is always very important. Part of the protection can surround medical malpractice insurance, which many providers have and many organizations have to cover the basis of mistakes that might happen, not just as a result of negligence, but as a result of malfeasance, and also a lot of the other options that patients can unfortunately be impacted by. So I want to talk a little bit about what you can do to protect yourself as a healthcare provider in today's environment. We live in a very litigious environment, so anyone can sue anyone for anything pretty much. It doesn't mean it's going to stick in court, but attorneys are usually willing to pick up a suit if it's something that has the ability to potentially come out on the winning side. And sometimes even if it doesn't come out on the winning side, it could be something that's picked up. But medical malpractice insurance is the number one thing that providers can do to protect themselves. Another thing that I always like to consider and I like to talk to students about, and I probably mentioned it a few times already this semester, is making sure that you continually educate yourself. Even if you graduated, top your class, you want to make sure that you continue to read and study and do everything you can to train and be effective at your job year over year. It doesn't mean you do all the studying that you can for your school time and then you just stop. I think it's important if you're in healthcare, you're delivering care to patients, that you continue that trend and continue to study to be a better provider, be a better caretaker. And I think that's very, very important. Another thing that I like to mention is people need to work for an organization that values their caregivers and that also treats them in a way that they can be protected given a really challenging circumstance. There are patients that come into the emergency department and get treated, and things don't go in the way that the provider or the patient's family had hoped. And in that circumstance, you can run into some really challenging situations where the provider can be held accountable for things that might not be their fault. So protecting yourself, being up to date on medical malpractice insurance, that's not something that for our level that I think we have to worry about, but making sure that you continually educate yourself and then you work for an organization that will protect you in any given circumstance, as long as it's not something egregious on your end, will be very, very helpful. There's a lot of great articles out there that talk about defense claims and negligence and understanding the law and practicing medicine, right? A lot of times, when you go into a court system, there are already opinions issued to which the provider is protected in a challenging circumstance. So my generalized feedback to you, and I'm not going to pull up exact cases, but you can look them up if you wish, and I can do a little bit more work if you have questions related to it, is there are cases in which a provider did everything they could to protect a patient, and a patient's health went sideways. And in that circumstance, the court upheld that the provider acted in a responsible manner. So I wouldn't get too freaked out about practicing healthcare today, but I think you need to understand that there are challenges, and how you overcome those challenges, I think, is very important in doing everything that you can to protect yourself. And this really means, too, when you go through your schooling that you're going through now, really taking the time to understand what people are teaching you and to do everything that you can just to be a great student so you turn out to be a great caregiver in the future. Really short lecture on this. I'm not going to go into a lot more detail, but I thought I'd record this, talk a little bit about it. It'll be part of our discussion moving forward. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Thanks so much.